5 things we learned from Benfica 0, Barcelona 1 in Lisbon. Let's go. First thing is mentality. This team is made for the big occasion, okay? This team's ceiling is the highest in Europe right now. Dare I say, we're looking at a potential treble winning team. I don't care. I'm just going to say it. I've been holding up for a while now. I don't care anymore. It would be a disservice to football if Liverpool and Barcelona do not meet in the Champions League final because these two are the best teams in the world, and I think Barcelona's ceiling, the way they're playing, the intensities, the goals, just the technique on display, the individual talent, they're the best team to watch in the world. One of their biggest issues has been getting these big away wins, and this season it seems like whether it's away or at home, it doesn't matter. They'll perform no matter what. ESPN will not talk about it, but yes, this team's mentality is up there with the best in the world, and I do not fear any other team. Yes, however, yes, they do make mistakes, and this leads to point number 2, which is that this club doesn't want to learn from their mistakes, it seems. It's constantly the same thing over and over again. I know the Barcelona fans watching this live, they lost a little bit of their lifespan because you got the PTSD from past years, right? Again, it's again with another red card. How many games has Barcelona played with a red card this season? I just think Flick needs to go up to these players and put a law in place. No last man tackles unless it's the second half. Having a red card and playing most of your game with 10 men is disastrous. I'd rather concede every single time. And I don't know why they take so much risk with these last-ditch tackles. Again, people talk about the highline. I don't think the highline is a problem. I think it's these decision-makings when opponents are getting ahead of you. Like, come on. You're the better team. You're going to outscore them. Just let them through. Trust your keeper. And if your keeper doesn't save it, it's okay. There is pretty much 70% of the game left. It is time to make up for that mistake. Don't make another one. And this leads to point number 3, which is one of the best players in terms of calma and pausa, Pedri. Now Pedri, masterclass. Like, he has some loose touches here and there, but considering he played with 10 men, the way this guy controlled the game, the way this guy was driving with the ball, the pausa he showed, and he covered over 13 kilometers this game. That's ridiculous for a player that nobody really talks about in terms of defensive actions. Pedri is doing his thing and he has the talent, but he's combining the work rate. And that's why I think people are sleeping on him still. This season, he has been one of our most consistent players. Game in, game out. He doesn't get GA, but he will perform. All the rating apps have him high up without GA. He doesn't need it. Other players, they have their moments, they have their uses in the team. Every player is important. But Pedri, he's the brain of this team. He makes everything function. Without Pedri, that midfield is lost. And again, he got the Man of the Match award. It's fair if you want to give it to him. I would have given it to another person, though. And this leads to point number 4, which is Szczesny. Like when they smoked out the arena, they didn't know that Szczesny was born in the smoke, okay? This guy put in a top 10 of all-time performance in a Champions League knockout game. Guys, he was retired a couple months ago. He came in, took the number 1 spot for Barcelona, and dropped a world-time performance. Because I finally understand what it's like to have a good goalkeeper. I've never been one to really hate on Ter Stegen that much, right? Like, I understood that he was not on the caliber level needed to win the Champions League. I understood that in the big games, this guy was one of the biggest issues with our team. But I never really was on that boat of Ter Stegen is complete garbage until very recently. But however, upon seeing Szczesny, a goalkeeper which I consider great, but not necessarily a legendary one, have the personality and the shot-stopping power to put these performances in. I'm realizing what we've been missing for years now. If Szczesny wants to renew right now, I'm going to be okay with it. And if Szczesny renews right now for next year, I don't care how Ter Stegen comes back, he's not getting in that number 1 spot. I think it might be time for Ter Stegen to consider other alternative options, whether in Saudi, other clubs, but I just think that as a club, we've given him enough chances and it's time to move on. Szczesny, I truly believe, is going to be one of the most important parts of this team if we're going to win this Champions League. And last but not least is another important reason why I think we're going to win this Champions League. It's the Capitan. It's the future Ballon d'Or winner, future Hall of Famer, your number 11 Brazilian big game player, Raphinha. Listen, I respect Lamine Yamal. I respect Lewandowski. But in the biggest moments, the defining factor, the difference maker, in terms of putting numbers on the board for Barcelona against the biggest teams, is going to be Raphinha. This guy is the biggest big game player this season. There is no doubt. There is nobody that comes close to Raphinha's big game pedigree this season. A guy that played for Leeds years ago is Barcelona's most clutch player in 2025. That's ridiculous and it's fully deserved. I understand Salah. I respect Salah. I think Salah's one of my favorite players for years now. But let me ask you guys this, Liverpool fans. Who are you taking in a big game? I know, with Salah, statistics aside, right? When it's a big game in the league, okay, sure, I trust Salah. But knockout competitions, I've seen this guy flop enough. I've seen this guy get locked down enough. Raphinha, he has that inner gene of popping out where you least expect it. He has that mentality to keep going for 90 minutes. He never give up. He works hard for the team. His work rate is insane. On top of that, he takes no penalties, guys. Take away Salah's statistics without penalties and compare him to Raphinha's without them, and the numbers are close. And if the numbers are close, you go on the eye test. Eye test wise, I still take Salah over Raphinha. Then you go to big game performances, Raphinha beats him. So you think Ballon d'Or goes to Salah, but this is the reason why I say the Champions League will decide the Ballon d'Or. Whoever wins the Ballon d'Or is going to win the Champions League. I truly believe that. That's how the voting works now. That's how the Ballon d'Or works. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but that's how it's going to work. And I think Barcelona winning the Champions League with Raphinha performing like he is this season, with Salah performing like he is this season, but now winning the Champions League, if these things happen, I think Raphinha might actually be in that conversation of receiving a Ballon d'Or before Neymar and before Vinicius Jr. How crazy would that be? But guys, let me know your thoughts. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you like the video. I really appreciate your support. Drop all that below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. TBS out, man.